The first time I walked into that auction hall, I felt the weight of every skeptical glance in the room. My relatives, dressed in polished suits and confident smiles, stood clustered together, whispering and chuckling, as I shuffled in, feeling painfully out of place. "Are you sure you belong here?" Aunt Margaret whispered loud enough for me to hear, her nose slightly wrinkled in amusement. I forced a smile, holding my head high, but inside my stomach churned with embarrassment. This was the kind of place I had always admired from afar in movies and magazines, never thinking someone like me could even imagine owning something so grand. The mansion up for auction was more than just a building. It was a piece of history, with towering oak doors, sprawling gardens, and windows that gleamed like mirrors. My relatives had been dreaming about this property for years, scheming to outbid anyone who dared challenge them. And here I was, standing in the middle of their world with nothing but determination, and a fraction of the money they assumed I had. The bidding started, and the room buzzed with energy. Every increase of the hammer felt like a blow to my confidence. My relatives smirked each time I hesitated. "Don't even bother," my cousin David sneered, clearly enjoying the attention. "You'll never win against us." I clenched my fists, but instead of retreating, a strange calm washed over me. Maybe it wasn't about the money, maybe it was about proving to myself and everyone else that I could. Hours passed, and the numbers climbed higher and higher. I faced my first real challenge, self-doubt. Every time I imagined winning, I could hear the laughter echoing in my mind, the pity in their eyes. But then I remembered why I was there. I wanted this not to show off, but because it felt like the first chance in my life to truly claim something for myself, a space that was mine where I could dream freely without anyone's judgment. The second challenge came in the form of temptation. My relatives began dropping hints, coaxing me into stepping down. "It's too much for you. Why risk it?" Aunt Margaret said, her voice sweet but sharp. For a moment, I almost listened, but I realized that if I let them dictate my limits, I would never grow. I took a deep breath and raised my paddle again. Then came the moment of pure adrenaline. The auctioneer's voice boomed. "Going once, going twice." I knew that if I hesitated, I'd lose everything. My relatives exchanged smug looks, assuming I would fold. But I didn't. I went higher, feeling my heart pound with every raise. And then silence. The hammer came down. "Sold!" The word rang in the hall like a victorious bell. The room went still, then erupted in shocked murmurs. My relatives stared at me, mouths agape, unable to hide their disbelief. Walking out of that auction hall, keys in hand, I felt a rush of triumph and liberation. It wasn't just about owning the mansion. It was about reclaiming my self-worth, about showing that courage and conviction matter more than wealth or status. My relatives had laughed at me at the beginning, but their laughter had turned into stunned silence and eventually begrudging respect. The real challenge began once I took possession of the mansion. It was grand, yes, but it was also a labyrinth of broken fixtures, overgrown gardens, and walls that whispered decades of neglect. I worked tirelessly, learning plumbing, hiring skilled craftsmen, and even painting walls late into the night. Every challenge felt like a mountain, but each small victory reminded me why I had fought so hard. And slowly the mansion transformed, not just into a home, but into a testament to resilience, determination, and dreams pursued against all odds. Years later, when my relatives came over for a visit, they no longer laughed. They marveled at what I had accomplished, asking questions about every corner, every detail I had restored. I smiled politely, but inside, I remembered that laughter in the auction hall. That laughter had fueled me, driven me, and ultimately made the victory sweeter than I could have imagined. Owning the mansion taught me something invaluable. It isn't wealth that defines you or the approval of others, but the courage to believe in yourself when no one else does. That house became more than bricks and mortar. It became a symbol of perseverance, of rising above ridicule, and of turning disbelief into triumph. And as I stood on the balcony overlooking the gardens I had revived, I realized something profound. Life will always have doubters, laughter that stings, and challenges that seem insurmountable. But the true measure of success is not how loudly the world applauds you, it's how boldly you keep moving forward when the world is laughing at you.